This story is about a girl named Maya. Maya is a 19-year-old art student from Portland. She has long black hair, pearly white skin, and icy blue eyes. Maya is 5 feet tall with an hourglass figure, and she weighs 101 pounds. The convenience store smelled like sugar and old coffee. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead as Maya stood in the snack aisle, a basket hooked over her arm, fingers brushing the crinkled edge of a candy bar she didn't need but wanted anyway. The TV behind the cashier crackled with static before a woman's voice cut through the noise. "Confirmed reports of violent attacks." Maya froze. On the screen, shaky footage showed people running through narrow streets, screams blurring into sirens. The anchor's face was pale, her voice strained as she spoke of an incident in Kyoto, of a man who had attacked others in a way no one could explain. The timestamp read 3:46 p.m., July 14th, 2026. The words spreading slipped into the broadcast like a quiet threat. Maya felt it then, that cold, instinctive drop in her stomach. "I need to prepare before this spreads here." She slid the candy bar back onto the shelf. One by one, the junk food went back, chips, soda, sugar-coated distractions, and was replaced with weightier things. Cans clanked into the basket. Beans, vegetables, soup, anything that would last. By the time she reached the register, her basket was full enough to strain her wrist. The cashier didn't comment. He barely looked at her as she paid. Outside, the sky was clear. Too clear. Maya loaded the bags into her car with quick, efficient movements, then pulled back onto the road, already heading toward the hunting store a few blocks away. She didn't hesitate once she was inside. Guns were loud, guns drew attention. But she also wasn't stupid. She chose a compact bow first, lightweight, powerful. Arrows with sleek, narrow tips, silent, practical. Then, after a long pause, she added a revolver to the counter and far more ammunition than she was comfortable looking at. The total nearly made her wince, but she handed over her credit card anyway. Debt wouldn't matter if the world ended. By the time she reached her apartment, dusk was settling in. Maya worked until her arms ached, dragging furniture, reinforcing doors, covering windows. When she finally collapsed onto the couch, the city outside was glowing softly, unaware. She stared at the ceiling, wondering how something like this could even begin. Later, she stood at the window and watched people move along the sidewalks below, laughing, texting, living. None of them knew. The thought made her chest feel tight. She went to bed early, exhaustion pulling her under fast. Morning came too quickly. The next days blurred together in careful routines. More supplies, more fuel, more food than she ever thought she'd need. She researched obsessively. How to make arrows from scrap, how gunpowder worked, how weapons were assembled from nothing but parts and patience. She filled an entire notebook with cramped handwriting, flipping pages late into the night while the world outside grew quieter. News filtered in anyway. Lockdowns, borders closing. Then Seattle, July 18th, 2026, 3:37. A.M. Maya set the radio down with steady hands. She had done everything she could. Still, the apartment felt too empty, too quiet. She practiced with the bow daily, shooting at a makeshift target until her fingers blistered. The revolver felt familiar in her grip, muscle memory left behind by a father who had wanted her to know how to defend herself. The first scream came just after midnight. It cut through the silence like glass breaking. Maya sat upright, heart slamming, every muscle locked in place as the sound echoed once, twice, then stopped. The silence that followed was worse, heavy, wrong. She moved to the window slowly and pulled the curtain back just enough. A man stumbled into the streetlight's glow. For half a second, she thought he was drunk. Then he lifted his head. Blood darkened his face, his jaw hung loose, and the noise that tore out of him wasn't anything human. Another shape rushed him. Then another. Maya stepped back, bile burning her throat. This wasn't a movie. She locked the final deadbolt and slid down the wall, forcing herself to breathe. Panic would kill her faster than anything else out there. When dawn finally came, it revealed a city that felt hollowed out, smoke rising in lazy spirals, streets abandoned, silence stretching too far. She stood at the window with her bow in hand. She wasn't just an art student anymore. She was a survivor. And this was only the beginning. The morning light felt thin and fragile, like it could shatter if the city breathed too hard. Maya stayed by the window for hours, watching. The infected, she refused to call them zombies out loud yet, wandered aimlessly, colliding with abandoned cars and storefronts. Some moved slowly, dragging limbs like broken dolls. Others twitched with sudden bursts of speed that made her fingers tighten around the bow. She memorized their patterns, how they reacted to sound, how long they lingered in one place before drifting on. Observation first, action later. By noon, hunger finally pushed through her nerves. She stepped away from the window and ate a small, careful meal, canned beans, crackers, water measured down to the last sip. She kept the radio on low, cycling through static-filled channels. Most were dead. One repeated emergency broadcast crackled through every hour, its message looping, distorted, and increasingly desperate. Remain indoors, avoid contact. If evacuation is possible. The signal cut out. Maya exhaled slowly and shut it off. She spent the afternoon reinforcing weak points in her apartment. Furniture was dragged, doors braced, windows blacked out with taped blankets. She set noise traps in the hallway, glass bottles tied with string, cans stacked just right, simple but effective. Every scrape of metal echoed too loudly in her head, but she forced herself to keep going. Fear was a luxury she couldn't afford. As evening crept in, Maya climbed onto the roof through the maintenance hatch, moving carefully. From up there, the city looked like a corpse pretending to sleep. Smoke columns marked where fires burned unchecked. Somewhere far away, a building collapsed with a distant hollow boom. She crouched low and scanned the rooftops through a pair of cheap binoculars she'd bought on impulse days ago. That's when she saw it. Movement. Controlled. Human. Across the street, 3 buildings down, someone was waving a piece of red fabric from a rooftop. Not frantically, slow, deliberate motions. A signal. Maya's pulse spiked. Her first instinct was to duck, to disappear. People meant risk, noise, betrayal. But the figure didn't linger long. The fabric vanished, and the rooftop went still. She stayed there for a full 10 minutes, heart hammering, waiting for the infected to react. They didn't. Whatever the signal was, it hadn't drawn them. When she finally climbed back down, her mind wouldn't quiet. Someone else was alive. Someone else was thinking, adapting, just like her. That night, she barely slept. At dawn, Maya packed a small go bag, water, protein bars, a flashlight, her notebook, the revolver tucked securely at her side, and the bow slung across her back. She hesitated at the door for a long moment, fingers resting on the lock. "I won't be stupid," she whispered to herself. The hallway was empty. Her noise traps were untouched. Outside, the air smelled wrong, burnt and metallic. Maya moved fast but carefully, sticking to shadows, avoiding open streets. When an infected lurched into view, she froze, heart pounding, until it wandered off again, distracted by something she couldn't hear. The rooftop was harder to reach than she'd hoped. The stairwell was dark, littered with debris and dried blood that made her throat tighten. Halfway up, she heard voices, real voices. She stopped, pressed against the wall, listening. Thought no one else would come. Saw the signal. Quiet. Someone's there. Maya stepped into the light slowly, hands visible, bow lowered. "I'm Maya," she said, voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. "I saw the signal." 3 people stared back at her, tired, dirty, terrified, but alive. One held a crowbar, another clutched a backpack like it was a lifeline. The third, a girl about her age, met Maya's eyes and gave a small, disbelieving smile. "Thank God," the girl said softly. "We thought we were alone." Maya let out a breath she felt like she'd been holding since the first scream cut through the night. She wasn't alone anymore, and somehow that made the world feel both safer and far more dangerous than before.